Hey guys, welcome back to the Max Spence Business Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, but before I jump into that, if you guys like the content I'm putting out, the people I'm interviewing, please like, subscribe, leave a review. It helps out a ton with the podcast and also the people that are coming on the show. If you can go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, that helps out a ton as well. So without further ado, today's guest is Jon Pilon. So he is a real estate investor and real estate agent. He currently has over 100 units in London, Ontario, and he's actually working his way to closing another 50 units this year. It's great having you on the show, Jon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad to meet you and get things rolling here.
Awesome. Yeah. So why don't we jump straight into this? Where did you grow up? What school did you go to? And sort of what was your first passion?
Yeah, I grew up close to Ottawa, small town close to Ottawa. Honestly, didn't do anything special in my childhood. Just barely made it through high school. Just got to college for something that I'm totally not doing today, but went to college, graduated college, became a mechanic actually, and then somehow transitioned into real estate. Now I've been probably about 8 years in real estate full time, and just absolutely crushing it year over year over year. We're doubling. Now I got a team of 10 guys pretty much, and we're ready to grow again.
Awesome. Yeah, that's actually super interesting. So if you'd be open to talk about it, I would love to hear about your sort of educational background, because I've had a few different real estate investors that actually didn't do that well in school, and they didn't do that well in college, or they didn't go to college, but they got into real estate and are now absolutely crushing it and doing really well in it. And it's always, I always find it super interesting. I think it's sort of like a really interesting story for people to hear about, like, hey, there's other opportunities out there. You don't have to go to university if you like.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. I failed math classes in high school. I failed like geology. I failed science classes. I failed everything. Like literally, you name it. Even my real estate courses getting into real estate, I failed half of those classes, like probably like 2 or 3 times. Like I probably spend, it probably costs about $3 to $4 grand to do your exams. I probably spent $6 to $7 grand just with my fails and my retries, my rewrites. Like I'm not the ideal school kid. I can tell you that right now. But somehow, you just find a passion, find something you love, and as soon as it's something that you enjoy doing, and as soon as it's something that like makes sense, I guess, part of your life, it's funny how things just work out.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, I love that a lot, because just because like some people are like, oh, I sucked at school, so I'm not gonna, like, I could never do that, and that's like that's not an excuse, because like you're saying, like you had trouble through school and then doing the real estate exams, but now you're absolutely out there and you're crushing it. Like to be 28 years old, running a real estate team, which had 10-person real estate team, and then also owning 100 units of real estate. Like by the time you're 45, you're going to be in like very, very good, like you probably are in very good financial shape. But by the time you're 45, you're going to be like miles ahead of, like, I'd probably say like 99% of the population. And so it sort of goes to prove that, like, just because like school wasn't sort of the way that you learned best, you're more of like a hands-on person or whatever that may be. But I just love that story. So now sort of going into it, how did, you went to college, then you became a mechanic. How did you sort of transition from being a mechanic to, real estate sales and real estate investing?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough. So I came to school in London, Ontario. Came to school, and at the time, real estate was super cheap a month. Like at the time, it was like 200 grand for a 6-bedroom house. And I bunked up with some buddies, and I think it was like 6 of us were paying $500 a room. At the time, I was like, that's $3 grand a month. And at the time, you could buy that house for 200 grand. So I saved up a bunch of money over the summer. And this was like while I was in school to be a mechanic. So I actually bought my first house. I was like 18, 19 years old. I had the parents co-sign on it, obviously, because I couldn't logistically do it by myself. But then I had the down payment, so I afforded the property. I bought the property. I think it was like 4 buddies living with me, so they paid me about $2 grand a month to live with me, and I lived for free. Or actually, I made probably about $600 a month in that property. And then just house hacked my first house, and then literally like a year later, I was like, I'm never ready to buy another one. My parents were like, crazy? Like, what's going on? Like, where's this money come from? I'm like, but these houses make money. So then I bought another 6-bedroom house. The thing was like, it was like literally cash flowing about $1,500 a month. Like that's cash on cash. That's like cash in my bank account. So that's
Yeah.
another 12 months later, bought another one. Another 12 months later, bought another one.
Holy crap.
And now, I mean, yeah, so now the market's a bit different. But yeah, so I probably had about 5 or 6 houses. I was a full-time mechanic. I was bouncing from shop to shop to shop. I enjoy doing it. Don't get me wrong. I love cars. I love working on cars, but the money's not there. Like, and like you really want something where you're actually fully compensated for the amount of effort you put in, or sorry,
Yeah.
the amount of effort you put in
To the
I guess
work.
the
Yeah.
project. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, real estate's one of those things. Like I'd go home at night, or like I was like literally getting up at 5 a.m., working from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. when I go to work from 8 to 5 at the shop, and then from 5 till 11 o'clock at night, just do 100% real estate.
Yeah.
Whether it was signing leases for management people, dealing with my own properties, dealing with like I was doing everything that I possibly could to make a couple bucks. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what it is. Working 15-hour days.
And what
And
was
then,
sort of
so then I did the transitional phase. Work dropped it down to part time, and this is probably honestly maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago now or something. And then yeah, I think so. I got my real estate license probably about 5 years ago. Had a really good first year, like just totally crushed my first year. And yeah, I just dropped everything with the mechanic. I was like, you know what? I'll just take the plunge, try it. I didn't have a lot of savings. I might have had 25 grand savings. You know what I mean? So like for me to take the risk, it was like a huge risk. But I was like, worst case scenario, I'll be back here in a year, pulling the wrenches again. There wasn't like it wasn't like catastrophic. You know what I mean? Like worst case scenario was not that bad.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the reality.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's like super. Yeah. Okay. I'm just thinking. So where do you think that drive came from? Like, did you like to put in those, to do like a full like 8 hour, 9 hour day as being a mechanic, right? And then coming home and being like, all right, now I'm going to go on to start doing real estate. What was sort of driving you and fueling you?
Honestly, just find something you love, man. Like that's like I like my passion for real estate is like out of this world. You have like nobody understands how much I actually love real estate.
Okay. Okay. So like you came home and instead of like, let's say binge watching a Netflix TV show or playing some video games, you're like, I would much rather prefer to go like scroll through realtor.com or make calls and try and figure out.
Exactly. Like for me, that was like me relaxing my mind. People get home, yeah, people binge watch, people game all night, people go play sports all night. I would come home and just skim real estate listings, skim. And like, just like deal hunt, door knock, phone. Yeah. Just like whatever it was, I was out there. Yeah. Just hustling really. And like, I found it fun. I enjoyed the shit out of it. I still enjoy the shit out of it.
Yeah. Awesome. So, okay. So pretty much like you got your first property, 18, 19, then literally a year later, you get another property. And then what happens then? Are you still working as a mechanic? And what happens then? Do you start buying like another one the next year, or you start buying 2 or 3? When does that pace sort of pick up when you're starting to buy more?
So like at the beginning, I didn't even know what a refinance was. I didn't know what, I didn't even know what real estate investing was. Honestly. I just bought properties and I just kind of, I knew that I got the rents in and the rents paid the bills and I ended up with another $1,000. I didn't know much about anything. So yeah, year 1, year 2, or year 1 buy a property, year 2 buy another property. Maybe I don't buy one, year 3, maybe year 4 I buy another one. Maybe year 5 I buy another one. So call it 5 years and I have 4 properties, student rentals, 5 to 6 bedrooms, maybe cash flowing $1,000, $1,500 each. I hadn't even done a refinance yet. I had no idea what it was. Then I forget who I talked to. It was a buddy or something. He's like, well, if you bought him, 5 years ago, you probably have some good equity in him. Why don't you refinance? And I was like, well, what's a refinance? I Google, what's a refinance? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, there's like actually a lot of equity in my proproperties and I can use that equity to go buy another property. And then I got into, house hacking and renovating and like equity gains. And so from there on, the ball just started rolling. But so from year 5 to where we're now probably year, call it 9, I guess. Like those have been the bigger scores. I think last year alone, we picked up, I think it was like 40 units last year. And then this year is going to be hopefully 50-ish, maybe more than that, probably like maybe 60, 70. And then we just honestly, like if we could double every year, like pretty much I have doubled every year. It's what I've kind of done. If I can double every year, I'd be content.
Yeah, 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 100%. So with jumping to these bigger properties, right? Like you had the student rentals, and then when did that sort of process take place? Like, did you do the like when you did the refinance? Did you take that money? And you're like, oh crap, I've got like 200 grand or 300 grand now. I'm gonna go buy like a 8 unit building, or like what was sort of how did the larger multifamily sort of come about?
Yeah, so like that's a tough one. So like I guess I started off, yeah, we call the first four students. Then I did a refinance. I ended up with this money, and the properties at that time bumped in value by maybe 30, 40% in that neighborhood. And I was like, well, that doesn't really make sense anymore. So I started skimming other neighborhoods. I'm like, what are the other neighborhoods that have to offer that maybe the student rental market, didn't have? So I literally bought a triplex in the worst neighborhood in town. I had no idea where it was. Just bought the triplex. It made sense. The thing cash flowed like $1,500 a month. I had the same rules as my other ones did. No students, but you end up with these crackheads, I guess. But at the time, I didn't know. Right? So I just bought it, evict all the crackheads. We replaced all our tenants. Got really lucky on it. So we placed some good tenants. Tenants are still there, and then so yeah, so we got the triplex. Then I did a couple of duplexes, another triplex, another duplex, a couple of fourplexes, and then like once you do one, they're all kind of the same. Once you do a duplex, doing a fourplex is just double that, and then doing a sixplex just adding 2 units. Doing a nineplex, adding 2 units. And I had a couple of deals where I got kind of lucky, where I guess the seller would hold a portion of the mortgage. I remember probably one of my best deals actually would be the just like, I don't know, just a condemned nineplex. So I pick a come in. This is one of my first biggest properties that I took on, which is probably about 3 years ago now. 9 units for 400 grand. Like I came into this place, I didn't know anything about this neighborhood in town. Walked through it, like this, like the place was like so condemned. Knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't buy it today. But at the time, I didn't know anything. I was like, this is exciting. I'm gonna buy nine units. Had like a 70 grand budget or rental budget, and then 6 months into the project, where I'm like, holy fuck, this is gonna be 160 grand in renos, but
So okay, so how did you sort of navigate that? Because that happens sometimes with like when investors start to expand, they start to scale up, they take on a new project, or when they first get into it. So how did you actually deal with that, with having being like oh crap, my actual like my renovation budget is actually off by 40 or 50 or 60 or 100 grand. So what strategy did you sort of put in place to sort of?
So at the time, even right now, I'm still selling a lot of real estate. So at the time, I was still making a lot of money in real estate. So I had the buffer there at the time. So like it wasn't catastrophic. I mean, went over budget, but then because I did that as well, maybe learned. So I bought this place for 400 grand. Call it 160 into it. So you're into it for, call it mid sixes. The place appraised. When I had it appraised with the new rents, all the renos, everything, for I'm pretty sure it was around $1.2 million. What it appraised for.
Wow.
And that was after a year and a half. So I had the extra money sitting there. I put the money into it, and then you send the appraisal into the bank. The bank didn't give me all the money back out of it, but I got pretty much all my rental budget out of it. I got my down payment back out of it. I got my every expense that I accrued over that year. I got 100% back out. So then literally from that 9 unit, off to the next property. And then
awesome.
And then from there, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Do it over and do it over.
Yeah. So now going on to something interesting that the viewers are probably going to be interested in hearing is, so how do you sort of find these multifamily properties? What sort of different ways that you sort of go out there to try and find these properties?
Yeah, that like literally, if you name it, we've probably done it. Like that's like we're so right now we run like a team of it's probably call it 4 or 5 like true like deal hunters, I guess, wholesalers, realtors, mix and mash. Once people kind of know that you're the buyer and that you don't pass on a good property, they'll bring you that property first. So we really make sure that people know who we are, what we do, and that we're like ready to close on a property within 5 days if it's the right deal, But I'd say half the properties I bought on market deals, market value deals, I just personally see the upside in that certain property. The off market deals we find, talking to a neighbor mowing the lawn, like doing cold calls, doing door knocking, like the stuff that, if you Google your top 10 things to lead gen, that's what we're doing. Like we're not doing anything more special. We're just doing it more often. Like we're literally crunching phone calls for like hours a day, or we're crunching door. I mean, right now we're not door knocking, but prior we were door knocking. We've had flyer campaigns go out. Like we're talking $20,000 flyer campaigns, you know. We don't, sometimes we send them out, we don't get anything from them. Sometimes we get them out, we get one deal, you know. It just, we're not doing anything different than anybody else's. That's the reality. We're just doing it far more aggressively and more consistent.
Ah, okay, yeah, and that's actually an awesome thing to hear because, you know, a lot of people like this is what I've sort of seen and heard is like, you know, a lot of people try and find their first deal, and you know they go through that stuff and they, let's say, cold call 50 people or 40 people or something, they get nothing out, and they're like, oh well, this is maybe there's a better way of doing it, but.
People are just looking. People are just looking for like that secret. Like what's the golden nugget? It's like there is no golden nugget. The golden nugget is to just put your head down and hustle. And you're totally right. Yeah, people will even call it 100 people, and then they just give up. I'm like, okay, call 1,000. Then within that 1,000, if you get one good one, then good. You know, call 10,000. My first year in real estate, I door knocked 5,000 doors. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. Like that's just like it just shows motivation. You know what I mean? It's like I tell people that now. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. I just woke up at 8 a.m., door knocked from 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. I was like, today I'm going to hit 300 doors.
Holy crap, man! That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, and
like to me, it's second. It's like second nature. Like I just that's just what I do. But yeah, so then I tell people this, like, you're fucking nuts, and I'm like, maybe I am a little bit, a little obsessive, but I don't know. I get motivated on certain things, and I just grind it out.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like why you're so successful right now. That's why you have 100 units. And because you just put like, you're not like, you know, you did 100 cold calls or you did 100 houses and you're like, oh, this doesn't work. You're like, all right, great. I did 100. Let's do 1,000. Let's do 10,000. Let's do freaking 500,000 and just keep going. 100%. Just keep getting more and more and more. And I absolutely love that. I love the grind mentality. So now sort of going on to, so actually to talk about this, well, actually, I guess we already sort of covered that, was talking about deals like how many deals do you usually look at? Like, let's say for investing in multifamily, like how many deals do you look at? How many offers do you put in before you sort of get that one deal that's good?
Like we probably assess on a daily basis, like 10 deals, 10 per day, call it, you know? And out of those 10 per day, maybe one a week. So one out of every 50, one out of every 100 kind of thing. Like we're doing this actively. This is our full-time thing. This is like, we're in this like for the long run. Like we're like 100% dedicated, you know? And it's not just me. Like I surround myself with a group of like brilliant people that are just as motivated as I am and have the same mission as I am. So once I surround myself with the right people, you know, it's crazy what changes. It's crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. So is that like that actually, just to talk a little bit about your structure and your team right now, are those people that are part of your company, or is it like 3 or 4 different companies that are sort of just working in like sort of like strategic partnerships together to try and you know, like get deals and do that type of stuff?
Yeah. So it's not like, I guess they're not on my payroll, I guess you could say. But so what we've done is I've rented out a big office space. We house them in-house. Whether they're wholesalers, property managers, I guess my personal assistant or contractors, they work under us. So right now, like, I guess to kind of explain my structure, I guess you could say, so I got my contractor renovating team. I got 2 full-time guys. They run my projects. They run my, call it renovations, flips, maintenance, repairs, all that stuff. They run that. Then like, I guess my real estate side of things, I've got 1 full-time showing agent. And I think we're looking on taking on a couple of other agents right now because I pulled myself out of selling for the past month or 2 months anyways. And then from, yes, the real estate, and then from the property management aspect. So we have got right now my full-time assistant, and then 2 interns below her. So call it 3 people on the property management side of things, because got 100 units, you get probably 200 tenants.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot. And then on the wholesale side, so the wholesale side, they're all self-employed. They like legally they have no ties to me, and I've got no ties to them. However, when they find a property, I like to buy it. And they're also investors as well. So they also invest. They also do flips. They also do purchasing properties. So on that side, we've got right now in house, we've got 2 full-time guys and a co-op student below him as well. A 17-year-old kid, just absolutely crushing it. Kid just made $17,000 last year, or no, sorry, $16,000 yesterday. And he's 17 years old.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I know. It's just like that, exactly that reason there alone. It's like why I do this, like to see those like that story. You know, I'm like the kid's like a manager at McDonald's, but yet he's making like 16K in a day. I'm like, that is nuts.
So when he made that type of money, what was his reaction like? Was he like dumb, or was he like
he's stoked? He is stoked. Like I don't think he's slept for the past 3 days. Yeah.
just on pure like adrenaline and like happiness of just being like, holy crap.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that's pretty much the team structure. And honestly, like everything's like we guess all the time. You know what I mean? Like I like a year and a half ago, or probably 2 years ago, it was literally just me and my assistant. 4 years ago was literally me solo. Like I had nobody. And then I hired the assistant. Then I moved forward. I think we hired like 1 contractor. So then it was like 3 of us. Then I think we got into the wholesale side. So then we got 2 or 3 wholesale guys. And then we slowly started growing from there. And then now, because people see us on social, people see our advertising and marketing, we actually get approached by interns. We actually get approached by co-op students. People come into our office and work for free, and they want to see our systems. They want to see how we work, and they like. I guess we benefit, but then also they get a benefit because they get to be in the culture. They get to see how things are done. And I don't know of any other office right now that's offering to show everything for nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's 100% true with that. Like, where can you, like, all that knowledge that you're providing there, like, where else can you go that you can learn about real estate investing, learn about contracting, learn about property management, then learn about real estate sales, like learn about everything about.
They don't teach us stuff. Yeah, they don't teach us stuff in school.
Yeah, 100%.
The amount of times that I have to say no to people coming to my office is ridiculous right now. Like even a month ago, I had 4 co-op students call me and wanted to come work at our office. And this was about, I think, call it about May, about a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to say no to all of them. So starting in, I don't even know what the next term is. I think it's summer term, or maybe September. I don't know. But they're already signing up. They're already lining up to come and work in our office, which is surreal. Yeah. I expect nothing in return. All I expect them to do is show up at 8 o'clock or show up at 9 o'clock and leave at 4. That's it. You show up, you put in the hours, you get something out of it, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, and that's absolutely amazing to hear. So now sort of moving to, another area that people would probably be interested to hear. So most likely you're doing offers on a lot of different properties. And like if you do any research, like a lot of stuff comes up for LOIs, like letters of intent, or, purchase and sale agreements and the pros and the cons to them. So, as a Canadian real estate investor, what do you sort of use?
Yeah. So I never do LOIs. Super rare in our market. It's kind of funny that you mention this. So pre 2020, so 2019, I guess, everything was an offer on paper. Everything was like crystal clear on paper. Now, honestly, most of the deals I want to say they're done through text. Like most of everything is done either with the seller or with the agent, and everything's already written out through a text. It's like, this is your price, this is your deposit, this is your terms, conditions, this is what everyone's accepted. And then the last thing, like day 25 of negotiations through text, then we put it on paper, everyone signs it, and everyone kind of moves on. It's funny, the people that people dwell on having a proper written contract, or people dwell on, I guess just having like lawyers review everything and having things, just properly. And it's like, as long as the buyer's aware of what he's buying, and as long as the seller's aware of what he's selling, and everyone in the middle knows what like what's happening for the deal.
Yeah.
Like the paperwork means nothing, literally. Like I guess if things went upside down, then for sure that's what you rely on. But like
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a small claim or whatever. I don't want to go to court. You know what I mean? Like I'll do anything to stay out of court. So
Yeah.
if it means, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's fully understandable. Like, everything is being so fat, like speed right now. And if you have to do a contract like 20, like, you're negotiating for 25 days and you have to do 25 revisions of a contract. If you're paying a lawyer to do that, that's going to be insanely pricey. And then let's say on the 25th
100%
day,
speed.
if you're like, oh, actually this deal doesn't work because financing fell through, and you're like, oh great, now I just have a $15,000 check for my real estate lawyer that I have to give them because we'd made so many
Yeah.
revisions.
Yeah. Literally speed will trump perfection every day of the week. And honestly, like that's likely why I'm at where I'm at right now. Like the jumps that I take and the risks that I take and I don't know, the things that I just don't mind losing. I think because I came from nothing and I am at where I'm at right now, like I don't like, to me, I just reinvest every dollar that I make. I don't pay myself more. You know what I mean? I live a very, 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 very frugal life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I get enjoyment out of very small things. So I don't need certain things that other people need,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's great. Like, right. Like you're in it for the love of the sort of the sport of real estate, right? Like instead of being like every single dollar matters, right? You're sort of like, yeah, like every single dollar matters, but like, you love the sport more than the actual, like all the stuff that comes with it.
it's the grind. It's like it's the chase. Literally learn to love the chase. And like for me, I enjoy chasing a deal more than actually closing on it. Once it's closed, I'm like, that's in the past now. Like I don't care about it. It's like the phone calls and the phone calls and the phone calls and the phone calls and the negotiation and like the emails back and forth, whatever. Like, that's what I love. That's what I love.
Yeah.
The conversation.
Awesome. So now sort of going to another area that people are probably interested in hearing is another area that people have maybe have a little bit of trouble with is, the underwriting side of it, like, trying to figure out how to properly, like underwrite a building or anything like that. And I've heard a lot of different scenarios of some people that are just like, if do this, it's very simple math. Like you do the simple math. If it makes sense, it makes sense. And you just need to pull the trigger sometimes to do it, to get over that analysis paralysis. And then other people are like, I analyze every deal fully and to the full extent. And, sometimes that slows them down, but, people have different preferences, right? And it's whatever works for you, right? So can you sort of tell us a little bit about your process, about how you go about around that?
Yeah, I'm pen and paper, literally old school. I got a purchase price, run the numbers, the income, the expenses. What's your cap rate? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Can it cover the debt? Are you buying, like there's so many different things about a deal. Are you buying it with private money? Are you buying it with bank money? Like is it done the way it is right now? Is it maxed out the way it is right now? Or are you buying it undervalued? Are you fixing it up and is it going to be something down the road? I usually have like a I guess, or current value right now with what the rents are, what the expenses are, and then what I'll be turning it into after renovations. But like literally just pen and paper, and I can go back to all my notepads. I got like a stack of notepads, like super high, like a 8-inch stack of notepads that over the past call it 4 years or whatever, and I haven't changed the way I assess a deal, so I probably won't change it now. But I know I don't know. I know some of the guys in my office use Excel spreadsheets, but it's all the same thing. Like as long as you have a general understanding of what the property is in the market you're buying in, it's all the same thing. It's just numbers, really. I think, yeah, I think truly it's very basic math. It's very, very, very basic math, but nobody teaches it. That's the thing. Nobody teaches it.
Yeah.
So it's just something you got to learn.
Yeah, 100%. And like just seeing sort of the basic math, like, and sometimes people might think like, is this really everything to it? Because they'll do the math and they'll be like, is this everything that, that there is supposed to be here? Is like, I feel like buying it's a $600,000 property and this is like, grade 9 math.
People, yeah, like literally, yeah, people like just overthink things. They just like think real estate investing is like this large thing. And I'm like, yeah, like, believe me, if I failed grade 10 math and I'm not where I'm at right now, it's not that difficult. Believe
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I know we're coming to the end here, but yeah, I would love to hear before we go. Can you actually just take us through one of your deals, one of your multifamily deals that you did? Like, just tell them how you sort of found it, how you like, what did you do to underwrite it to sort of see if it worked? Did you do renovations for it? What type of renovations do you do? Yeah, just take us through the process of that.
Yeah, like I'll give you like the standard kind of like what, because most of my deals now are all kind of very similar. But like most of them, we'll just use like $1 million as the price point of the property. Call it 8 units for $1 million. That's kind of normal in our marketplace right now. So we come across the property, whether it's one of my wholesalers that brings it to me, or whether it's like literally just a listed property on the market. So we come forward, see this property, 800K, or sorry, $1 million, 8 units. Usually at this point, we're putting these things under contract before we go through them, because I just know the upside. So yeah, we'll put on a contract, 20K deposit down, book a walkthrough within a week, get through the units, really make sure we know what we're actually kind of buying, I guess, at this point. We'll run the numbers today, see what the numbers are today, assess the current value. Is it an A property? Is it a B property? Is it a C property? I mean, is it a hard D? Is it a roof leaking? Is it a foundation leaking? Like, like it doesn't need everything, or is it kind of salvageable? And where are the rents? Are the rents based on 2002, or are they based on 2019? If it's 2019, there's probably not much upside. If it's 20-year-old rents, there's probably some good upside. So yeah, we'll crunch the numbers. Usually the ones we're coming across need rent increases, but because we're governed in Ontario and we can only give 2% rent increases a year, the best way we do this is pay the tenants out. So usually we're budgeting $5,000 ish on average per tenant. We buy them out. So budget for renovations, budget for eviction costs, budget for closing costs. So for that $1 million property, just call it 10K, call it $100,000 renovation for the whole building. That won't give you everything. That'll give you paint, floors, trim, doors, light fixtures, maybe no kitchens, maybe no bathrooms, maybe you piece something together, $10 to $50,000 a unit kind of thing. So about $100,000 for the building and renovations, and about, call it $50,000 in eviction costs. So you're going to do it for $150K above the purchase price. As long as I know my after rented valuation, so I know what my rents are going to be after we renovate, after we evict everybody. As long as I get like that, call it a 40% increase, or maybe at least a 30% increase. So the property valuation after would have to come in at, call it 1.7, and then maybe the bank gives me back out 1.15, 1.2. And then you literally just, you get the cash back in your bank account and you move on to the next project. All your private lenders are paid off, all your bank loans are paid off, all your debt's paid off, and you end up with a free property. I don't suggest doing this if you're like a short-term thinker, but like honestly, I've got a 25-year vision. Like all my mortgages are 25 years. By the time 25 years rolls around, they're all gonna be paid for. They'll be free and clear, and I'll be sitting on a sailboat somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. So actually, before we go here, I would sort of like to hear what's sort of your like end goal vision with real estate.
Like in terms of what?
Just like what sort of like where do you sort of want to end up? Is it like, you want to end up with like, 1,000 units, 2,000 units, do like a huge corporation, or 500 units and the freedom to travel around the world, or like what's sort of the goal in your head?
Yeah, that's a tough question, honestly. Like if people had asked me like 2 years ago where I'd see myself last year, or even last year where I'd see myself today, I would have never told you I would have 100 units. Never, never, not once. And I don't know. Like, I think if we double this year, wicked. If we don't, I'm not upset. Like, we'll be back where we are right now. We're not in a bad spot right now. I think, like, yeah, I don't like. I know people have like the vision board and like all these expectations and all this stuff. I just do things, man. Like, I don't build the vision prior to doing it. And I think that's maybe why I'm at where I'm at. I don't know. Like, I just, like, if I could have 1,000 units, maybe cool, you know, but then it's like, you get to 1,000, then what? Then you want 10,000, then you want 100,000. It's like, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool, but it's a chase, right? Like, it's like, yeah, it's literally the chase. So I don't think I got a cap on it right now. I mean, we'll just keep growing as much as we can. Like, I've been approached by REITs in the past where they want to buy the portfolio, and, you know, I come in as a managing partner and stuff. I don't see that as a vision. I could see maybe having my own REIT eventually, for maybe, you know, people, RSPs can invest within the REIT or something. I don't know. And like, we're talking this will be years down the road, you know. And like, logistically, it would have to make sense financially. It like, a lot of these things, it's like these crazy ideas that just never really financially make sense, because I guess they just don't, right? Unless you're a jumbo corporation or something, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a huge company. I just want to be a decent company, and maybe, you know, yeah, it's so tough to say. So tough to say.
Yeah,
Like, literally, we could be having this conversation today. I'm on fire today, and then in 3 months, the market dips 30 points, and I've just lost 30% of my equity in my portfolio. I've got no idea where this market's going to go. You know, I don't like to speculate too much. That's the reality. That's why I love real estate. That's literally why I love real estate.
Yeah. No. And that's like a really super interesting viewpoint. And I love to hear that as well. You know, and I've heard that from another guy, that I'm maybe hopefully have him on my podcast. I was listening to another podcast he was on, and people asked him, they're like, hey man, like, cause he's already doing pretty well for himself. And they're like, I believe he's 20 years old. And they're like, hey, where do you see yourself in 3 years? And his answer back was 23. Like that's
funny. Yeah. Like, that's literally like my mindset. I'm like worst case scenario, I go broke. Maybe I'm actually starting again in 3 years. I don't know. I don't really know. You know, maybe I'll be back at property number 1 again. I don't know.
Yeah, but all that really matters is that you're having a good time, and, you know, you love what you're doing now, and yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly,
so yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, we're coming to the end here, and yeah, it's been a great podcast listening to you, sort of hearing your sort of tips and tricks, and sort of the ideology that you have towards like real estate and moving forward and all that type of stuff. I absolutely love that. Yeah, so you can do like a plug, or like, you know, where can people find out more about you? What are you looking for? Anything like that?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm on social, all the platforms. Give me a Jon Pilon. Looking for deals, looking for investors. Yeah. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I think I'll post this on my YouTube channel as well. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you very much, Jon, for coming on the podcast. It's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Nice meeting you.